Hello everyone, welcome to my channel B&B CBS Gossip 24. Will saves Luna in the most recent episode of Bold and the Beautiful, which was leaked. Will pace the length of his father's office, the glowing skyline of Century City reflecting off the glass behind him. He'd grown up watching Bill Spencer turn scandal into strategy, truth into leverage. But what had seemed like courage at 16 now felt like poison in his 20s. On his tablet, the article scrolled endlessly. Luna Nozawa under fire, Forrester's darling designer faces new accusations. He rubbed his eyes. Every line sounded wrong now that he knew what had really happened. Luna hadn't leaked anything. Someone inside the Spencer network had framed her to undermine the Forresters. The door opened. Bill Spencer entered, jacket over his shoulder, expression unreadable. "Regretting your first big scoop already?" he asked. Will lifted his chin. "I need to retract it." Bill stopped. "Excuse me." "She's innocent, Dad. We printed a lie." Bill studied him. "Then fix it, but make sure it's the truth this time, not guilt dressed as journalism." Will hesitated. "If I print the truth, it'll expose one of our people." Bill's eyes hardened. "Then maybe our people need reminding what honor looks like." At the same moment, Luna faced Steffy Forrester across the long glass table in the executive suite. The air between them was brittle. "Someone inside Spencer Publications leaked confidential sketches," Steffy said. "And you're the headline." "I didn't do it," Luna whispered. Steffy's voice softened, but only slightly. "You have to understand, the brand bleeds every time another scandal hits. I need proof, Luna." "I'll find it," Luna said, standing. "Even if it means walking straight into Spencer Tower." R.J. Forrester appeared in the doorway, worry clouding his eyes. "You don't have to fight this alone." But Luna already was halfway to the elevator. "I do. Because no one else can give me back my name." Luna's heels echoed through marble and glass as she entered the lion's den. Reporters still lingered from earlier press chaos. At the security desk, the guard looked uncertain. "I'm here to see Will Spencer," she said. "Tell him it's about the truth." Minutes later, Will appeared, tie loosened, eyes tired. He hadn't expected she'd come to him. The last time they'd spoken had been polite small talk at a Forrester gala, before headlines had turned them into adversaries. "You shouldn't be here," he said quietly. "I'm here because you owe me an explanation," Luna replied. "Why publish something you didn't verify?" He exhaled. "Because I trusted the wrong source." She looked at him, realization dawning. Someone inside Spencer planted it. He nodded. "My editor." She was promised an exclusive by a competitor who wanted Forrester's launch delayed. Luna's anger melted into shock. "So I was collateral damage?" "Yes," he said. "And I'm going to fix it." Scene 4, the rooftop. They stepped out onto the rooftop terrace, the city shimmering below. For a moment, neither spoke. The wind carried the scent of jasmine from the planters that lined the deck. Luna finally asked, "Why tell me instead of just publishing a correction?" Will looked out at the skyline. "Because apologies don't undo humiliation. I wanted to face you before I faced the world." She searched his face, Bill Spencer's determination tempered by something gentler. "You're not your father," she said quietly. He almost smiled. "Not yet. Maybe never." Her voice softened. "Don't hate him for that. Just be better." A moment of silence stretched between them, heavy but healing. Then Will's phone vibrated. His expression changed. "What is it?" Luna asked. "The source who framed you," he said, eyes narrowing. "She's on her way to dump the real files online. If she does, Forrester's entire archive goes public." Luna paled. "Can we stop her?" Will nodded. "If we get to the newsroom before she uploads them." Without another word, they ran for the elevator. Lights flickered across computer screens as they burst into the 23rd floor bullpen. The hum of electronics filled the air. At a corner desk, the editor, a sharp-eyed woman named Monica Reed, hovered over her laptop, progress bar climbing toward 100%. "Monica, stop." Will shouted. She turned, startled, then sneered. "Too late, golden boy. By morning the world will know every Forrester pattern, every secret. Spencer Media will own the scandal." Luna stepped forward, voice steady. And you'll own the ruin of an innocent designer. Monica's finger hovered over enter. Business isn't personal, sweetheart. Will reached for the power cord, yanking it free. The screen went black. For a beat, no one moved. Then Monica hissed, "You just ended your career, Will." He squared his shoulders. "Then I'll start a new one that tells the truth." Security arrived moments later, summoned by Bill Spencer himself. Monica was escorted out, still shouting. Bill looked from his son to Luna. "I suppose I should say thank you." Luna folded her arms. "You should say you're sorry." Bill's expression softened. "I am." For the first time, Luna believed him. Act 1, closing beat. As the lights dimmed over the empty newsroom, Luna turned to Will. "You saved me," she said. He shook his head. "No. I corrected myself. But maybe that's the same thing." She smiled, a real one this time. "Either way, thank you." Outside, the city lights shimmered like forgiveness waiting to be written. Steffi Forrester stood by the long glass wall that overlooked downtown Los Angeles, arms crossed tightly. Behind her, Ridge paced in slow circles, the faint rasp of his shoes on tile the only sound in the room. On Steffi's desk, the morning tablet buzzed with alerts. RJ entered, hesitant. "I just saw the article. It's gone," replaced with a correction. They cleared Luna. Steffi turned slowly, relief and irritation wrestling in her expression. "Then thank God Will Spencer still has a conscience." "But the damage," she gestured at the tablet. "The damage doesn't disappear just because they changed a headline." Ridge exhaled. "It's Forrester. We've survived worse than gossip." Steffi's jaw tightened. This wasn't gossip. It was sabotage. RJ stepped forward, voice low but steady. "Then maybe it's time we remember who tried to stop it." She frowned. "Who?" "Will Spencer," RJ said. "He risked his job to protect Luna." For a heartbeat, silence. Then Ridge's mouth twitched. "Looks like a Spencer finally did something good for a Forrester." Bill Spencer stood at his window, watching his reflection shimmer in the glass, the skyline behind him, the storm brewing inside him. "Dad." Will's voice came from the doorway. Bill didn't turn immediately. "You realize you cost us a senior editor and probably a lawsuit?" Will nodded. "And saved the company from printing another lie." Bill turned then, his trademark steel softened just enough to reveal pride behind the anger. "You sound like someone who's finally stopped trying to be me." Will smiled faintly. "Maybe I'm trying to be the version of you who'd do the same thing." For a long moment they said nothing. Then Bill crossed the room and clasped his son's shoulder. "Good work," he said quietly. "Now let's go make it right with Forrester, officially." Luna stood before the mannequins that bore her sketches, her hands trembling slightly as she retied the silk belt on one of them. The scandal's shadow still hung heavy even though her name was cleared. The door opened. Steffi entered, composed, unreadable. "Will called me," Steffi said. "He told me what he did." Luna waited, silent. Steffi moved closer. "You fought for your reputation the same way my mother used to fight for our family name. You didn't hide, you faced it." Luna blinked back tears. "I thought I'd lost everything." "You didn't," Steffi said, softer now. "You just learned what it costs to have something worth keeping." She extended a hand. "Welcome back to Forrester, Luna." Luna hesitated only a second before taking it. "Thank you, for believing me even when it didn't look good." Steffi smiled. "Belief is easy when someone earns it twice." Bill sat behind his desk as cameras flashed, a hastily arranged press conference. Will stood beside him, shoulders squared. Bill addressed the reporters. Spencer Publications published an inaccurate story regarding Ms. Luna Nozawa and Forrester Creations. Today we correct that mistake. Integrity means owning the truth, even when it costs. Reporters murmured, flashes intensified. Will stepped forward. "Luna Nozawa is one of the most talented designers in this city. The story you read was false. I wrote it, and I'm taking responsibility for fixing it." Questions flew, but Bill raised a hand. "This press conference is over." When the cameras stopped, Bill turned to his son, quiet pride in his eyes. You just did something even I wouldn't have done 20 years ago. Will smiled slightly. Maybe that's progress. Steffi's office was calm again. The hum of machines had replaced the chaos. Luna worked quietly at her sketch table. RJ entered with coffee. Big day, he said, handing her a cup. She smiled shyly. Feels like breathing again. He sat across from her. You know we'll put his whole career on the line for you. I know, she said softly. It still doesn't feel real. RJ tilted his head. So what happens now? She looked out the window, the light catching her face. Now I design something that reminds people why they believed in me in the first place. RJ grinned. That's the Luna I remember. Their hands brushed briefly, a spark of something hopeful returning. Scene 11, Spencer Publications, corridor. As Will left the building, he checked his phone, a message from Luna. Thank you for saving the truth, and me. He paused in the hallway, smiling to himself. He typed back. You saved yourself. I just made sure the world saw it. He hit send and slipped the phone into his pocket. The elevator doors closed, reflecting the faintest grin on his face. The day ended quietly. Steffi walked through the dim showroom, pausing to look at Luna's designs displayed under soft lights. Rich joined her. She's good, Rich said. Steffi nodded. She's better than good. She's strong. Rich smiled. Maybe we all needed that reminder. They stood in silence, the hum of the city outside rising like applause none of them could hear. Grace and Luna, Redemption in Grey. Prologue. The clang of metal gates was a sound Luna Nozawa still hadn't learned to bear. Every morning it came, a sharp, final punctuation on freedom, and yet, each time, it startled her heart like a gunshot. Luna's first glimpse of Grace Shepherd came through bars and shadow. Grace was older, maybe mid-50s, but carried herself with an elegance that seemed borrowed from another world. Her dark hair was streaked silver, her posture still proud despite the jumpsuit. She sat at a small table, a paperback in one hand and a pair of glasses balanced on her nose. When Luna was escorted in, Grace looked up, studied her quietly, and said only, "First nights are the worst. After that, you start pretending they are better." Luna managed a nod. "I'm not sure I can pretend." Grace smiled faintly. "Then learn." That was how it began, an unlikely companionship formed in silence and shared fatigue. Over the next weeks, Grace became the calm within Luna's storm. She never pried, never asked for explanations, but somehow always knew when Luna's composure was about to crack. "You were somebody on the outside," Grace said one afternoon. "You still are. Don't let this place decide otherwise." Luna had laughed bitterly. "Somebody? I was a scandal. A walking headline. Steffi Forrester's project gone wrong." Grace had closed her book and met Luna's eyes. Then be the sequel that makes them regret stopping at the first chapter. News traveled strangely in prison. When Poppy's weekly letter arrived, warm handwriting pressed deep into paper, Luna learned that Forrester Creations hadn't replaced her designs. They'd kept her name attached to the unfinished collection, calling it the Redemption line. Steffi's note, enclosed within, read simply. "We all stumble, Luna. But artistry isn't cancelled by mistakes. Finish what you started, in here or out, and you'll always have a place." Luna read those words again and again, until the ink smudged under her fingers. Grace noticed. "They still believe in you," she said. "What are you going to do with that?" "I don't know how to start over," Luna admitted. Grace gestured to the dull concrete wall. "Start small. Draw it in your mind until you can draw it for real." So Luna did. Each night, she imagined fabric instead of bars, soft chiffon instead of coarse uniforms. She designed in her head, stitching redemption into every imagined seam. And she began to listen to Grace's story. Grace had once been a stylist in Beverly Hills, she said, good, successful, but careless with people. A bad deal, a worse betrayal, and suddenly she was the woman the tabloids loved to hate. She'd spent years punishing herself for it. "You remind me of my daughter," Grace confessed one evening. "She stopped visiting years ago. Couldn't stand to see me like this." Luna reached across the table, hesitated, then took her hand. "Then maybe she'll visit again one day. People come back when they see you've changed." Grace smiled sadly. You sound like someone who believes that. Maybe I'm trying to. Act 3, Rumors and Reckonings. Word spread through the facility that Luna Nozawa, the designer inmate, was sketching again. Officers found her notebook one morning, confiscated it, and returned it a week later with a note from the warden. Beautiful work. Keep it up. It became her therapy. Each drawing was a silent letter to the world outside, to RJ, to Poppy, to Steffi, saying I'm still here. Then came a visitor's day that changed everything. RJ Forrester appeared behind the plexiglass, looking older, wearier, but with the same loyal eyes. I talked to Carter, he said through the phone. They are reviewing your sentence. There's a chance at early release for rehabilitation credits. Luna's breath caught. Are you serious? Completely, he said. Steffi wrote a recommendation. Even Bill Spencer signed it. She almost laughed. Bill Spencer? The same man who called me a liability. RJ nodded. He said everyone deserves a comeback. Guess you convinced him. When the visit ended, Luna sat back, trembling with cautious hope. Grace was waiting when she returned. Good news, she asked. Maybe, Luna whispered. If the review goes well, I could be out by spring. Grace smiled, but something flickered behind her eyes, an ache Luna couldn't name. That night, Grace was restless. She kept turning the pages of her book but not reading them. Finally, Luna asked, What's wrong? Grace sighed. I've been here 7 years, Luna. Every friend I've made eventually leaves. I tell myself that's a good thing, but it still hurts. Luna leaned closer. Then when I go, you'll have to come find me next. Grace laughed quietly, wiping a tear she pretended not to shed. Don't make promises you can't keep. Act 4, The Choice. Winter came early that year. Cold crept through cracks, frost ghosted the cell windows. The day before Luna's review hearing, an officer brought her a sealed envelope. Inside was a single sketch she hadn't drawn, a delicate, intricate pattern inked on yellow paper. At the bottom, in graceful handwriting. For your comeback. G. Luna looked up. Grace was smiling faintly across the room. Consider it a collaboration, she said. The next morning, the guards escorted Luna to the hearing chamber, a sterile room with folding chairs and officials behind glass. She clutched the sketch like a talisman. The hearing was brief. Too brief. They discussed progress reports, conduct notes, vocational credits. When they asked if she had anything to say, Luna rose. I came here angry, she said. Angry at the world, at myself. I thought talent could erase mistakes. It can't. But it can teach you patience, and humility, and maybe, just maybe, grace. The word hung in the air, heavier than it should have been. When she returned to her unit, Grace was gone. Her bunk was stripped bare, her few possessions boxed. A guard told Luna quietly that Grace had been transferred to a medical facility overnight. Nothing serious, but she wouldn't be returning. Luna sat on her cot for a long time, the sketch pressed to her chest. Act 5, Freedom and Legacy. 3 months later, Luna Nozawa walked out of prison. The air tasted different, sharp and sweet, full of noise and color. Cameras waited at the gate, but she kept her eyes ahead. Poppy hugged her so hard she could hardly breathe. RJ stood beside them, smiling through tears. You're free, he said softly. Not yet, Luna replied. But I'm getting there. Back at Forrester Creations. Steffi had prepared a surprise. In the design wing, a new line was pinned to the mannequins, the Grace Collection. Soft grays, pale silvers, threads of white, every shade of redemption. These are yours, Steffi said. Luna blinked. Mine. Steffi nodded. Inspired by what you sent us. You named it after whoever taught you to forgive yourself. Luna's throat tightened. Her name was Grace. She's still inside. Then we'll make sure she sees it, Steffi said. RJ added, smiling, we'll dedicate the debut show to rehabilitation outreach. Fashion for a second chance. For the first time in months, Luna let herself believe she belonged. Weeks passed. The new line gained praise from critics, ethereal, honest, brimming with empathy. But Luna still thought of Grace every day. One afternoon, while sorting through mail at her workstation, she found an envelope postmarked from the medical facility. Inside was a single page written in the familiar looping hand. My dear Luna. You once told me you didn't know how to start over. I hope now you see that you already did, the moment you believed you could. The sketches you left behind are teaching other women here that beauty isn't lost, just waiting. Keep creating for those who can't yet. That's how you repay the gift of freedom. With love. Grace. Luna read it 3 times before realizing she was crying. She pressed the letter against her heart, then walked to the window. The afternoon sun turned the world gold. Months later, the debut of the Grace collection filled the Forrester showroom with quiet reverence. Reporters whispered about Luna's journey, not the scandal, not the prison, but the comeback. Steffi opened the event with a short speech. This line isn't just about fashion, she said. It's about resilience, the beauty that survives even in grey places. When Luna stepped on stage, the applause rose like a wave. She smiled through tears, whispering under her breath, "We did it, Grace." As the models walked, each gown shimmered like forgiveness made visible, soft silvers fading into white, threads of pale blue like veins of hope. In the front row, Poppy wept openly. RJ took her hand. Bill Spencer, of all people, gave a slow, respectful nod. And in the back, unnoticed, a woman with silver-streaked hair and kind eyes slipped quietly out the door before anyone saw her. The sunlight caught her profile for just an instant. Epilogue. Later that night, Luna returned to her empty studio. She set the final letter from Grace on the desk beside a new sketchbook. At the top of the first page, she wrote, "Freedom isn't leaving the cage. It's learning how to sing inside it." She smiled, picked up her pencil, and began to draw again. The pencil strokes sounded like breathing, steady, alive, endless. Closing montage. Steffi watching the fashion show replay on her phone, Ridge smiling at the headline Forrester's Redemption Line triumphs. Bill and Katie looking out over the city lights, quietly proud of their son for telling the truth. Deacon standing outside Illinois Giardino, flipping a closed sign to open, ready for another chance. And somewhere far away, in a rehab center garden, Grace Shepherd folding a magazine open to Luna's picture and smiling.